Unofficial commentators, another week of NFL fantasy football. JJ98, all the way from Brooklyn. Panda in the house as the special guest. What up, Jay?
Yeah, where's Paki?
Nah, man, I ate him.
Oof, man. Yeah, what's going on? Not a very eventful week in football, but a very eventful Tuesday evening as we record. Football is in full swing, already half of the season in the books.
Yep.
We have the World Series going on right now. It looks like the Red Sox lead the Dodgers at this point.
That's right.
I don't know if that'll be the final score, but as of right now, they're leading. And the NBA is in full swing, and a pun intended. When I say full swing, I'm talking about those blows that were being tossed in that Lakers Houston Rockets game. But yeah, that's not really why we're here. We might talk about it a little later, but right now we're going to talk some Week 8 fantasy football.
Yeah, man, NBA has been fun. My NBA fantasy team, it's all right. For all the NBA fantasy owners on our league of what is it called? The greedy owners.
Greedy owners.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook is on the block. Send me a good offer. We'll see what we can make it happen.
I don't believe for 1 second that you're willing to trade Russell Westbrook.
Well, you never know, bro. Never assume. You don't know.
I'm absolutely certain you're not going to trade him.
You don't know. If I get the right offer, I will most certainly trade him.
What is the right offer?
The one that's not a wrong offer.
I mean, Russell Westbrook was only not a top 3 pick because he was supposed to be injured for at least a month.
And he was back in win a week?
And no fantasy owner was going to sacrifice potentially 4 weeks of losses on a first-round pick, except, you kind of took your chance on him, and it paid off. At least it has to this point. So what could somebody potentially offer you for a top 3 pick?
I don't know. Whatever tickles my fancy.
I mean, a number 1 pick?
Obviously, you have to include a star there that I would be interested in, or a star and, a little seasoning.
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy for 1 second that you're going to give up Russell Westbrook for anything that's available.
Then do not send me offers. Everybody else, you know where to find me.
All right. Well, it was an uneventful, I said this before, Week 7 in the NFL. Not a lot happened. There was a London game. There was football basically from 11 in the morning until a little after 11 at night, basically almost midnight. And not all of it was entertaining. A lot of teams on bye, and then with the Thursday night and the Monday night games, there was some entertainment on Sunday, but I don't know if there was much marquee value there. In any case, the high score for the week, man, this was an absolute shellacking. I like that word. It has a lot of syllables.
That is a nice word. Sexy word.
So the high score goes to Hunt for the Wilder Cup. Check this out. In Week 7, with a lot of viable fantasy quarterbacks out, they scored 176.28 points.
That's crazy, man. That's DraftKings number right there, man.
My goodness, like, how did you put this team together is beyond me. All right, and the low score this week goes to El Perro del Llano, 86.72 points. That is measly. That is coal measly. That's what you should call yourself, your team, coal measly. All right, now here's the interesting part. This week, the blowout managed to combine the highest score of the week and the lowest score of the week. So Hunt for the Wilder Cup has the biggest blowout over El Perro del Llano, beating him by 89.56 fantasy points.
God damn. That's crazy. I mean, I guess I'm not going to say it's luck. It was just a really good week, man. Everybody just turned up. You know what I mean?
All right, so El Perro del Llano scored 86.72 fantasy points. You add that score twice, meaning you take 2 Perro del Llanos and Hunt for the Wilder Cup would have still beat him.
Oh, my God. That's something that can only happen to Guica. Jesus.
Paki, you found yourself in the awards this week. You got La Chepa Award.
Yeah, better be lucky than good. You know what they say.
Yep. And I'll cover that a little later when we talk about my matchup. But Daphne Culo Ancho scored 111.94 fantasy points. That's less than 8 other teams. Oh my God, who's this?
Hey guys, I'm back. Hey, unofficial commentators. It was a pleasure
Put the mask back
having
on.
my friend here in the Panda.
Put it back
Yes, sir.
on.
Nope, it's too
All
hot.
right. So about 8 other teams could have beat you, but you had the right matchup facing someone who is absolute garbage. We'll talk about that a little more as we go on. The best fantasy performer is rostered this week. We've had some weeks where he hasn't been rostered. It is Kareem Hunt in our half point PPR league. He scored 34.60 points. He belongs to Hunt for the Wilder Cup.
Wow.
There were no trades this week, which is interesting. There have been trades in the last 3 weeks leading up to when we record the show.
Hmm.
Um, that being said, November 2nd is the trade deadline for the NFL and also for the League of Haters. A league, so last push, make your last ditch efforts to try to get that plug that hole that you have. Pause. In order
That's what
to
she said.
I called pause. I said it first. So plug your holes just in time for the playoffs. November 2nd is trade deadline. Everyone in the league should listen to the show. No one should be surprised once November 2nd comes around. And I bet you still there'll be someone asking, when is the trade deadline?
Yes,
And
that will
that
definitely
someone
happen.
will probably be Ivan, who's not even in the league anymore.
Ivan is borderline about to get kicked out of the basketball league too. If you ask me, man, he ain't doing shit. So
Oh my goodness! No, I mean he,
whatever.
he fought a lot to be in there. He scratched and he clawed. So I don't want to hear this, man. Ivan, get your shit together.
Well, he got some other things going on right now with his life.
I think that's more than we needed to know. Paki, how about the things that we do need to know? I'm making this segment, carving it out for you to talk to me about waivers.
Bam, bam,
So
bam, bam,
right
bam.
now it is Tuesday. Waivers will seal at 3 in the morning Eastern time, midnight Pacific time. So tell me a little bit about who should we have our eye on in waivers.
Waivers, man. All right, so this week, first, before I even step into waivers, you normally do this, Jay, but let me pull it up because I don't have it here. Week. Do you know the teams that are on bye this week?
Well, I was actually holding on to that till you finish waivers, but yes, I can pull it up. Week 8,
You
it's
have to
going to
give me
be.
that first, man, because that goes hand in hand.
I apologize. I tried to improvise something here, not improvise. I tried to change the dynamic, not be so
No, no, no. I
predictable.
know what you mean. I mean, that's something that I would mention anyways as I make my analysis because, the players that I'm going to mention, the only reason why you would pick them up is because we're going to have some players on bye.
Understood. All right. So bye weeks this week for week 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons.
That's
So
right.
you're going to be missing Matt Ryan. You're going to be missing Julio Jones.
That's right.
Not sure of anyone else worth mentioning. You're going to be the Dallas Cowboys are on bye. No one of note really that you should worry about missing there. The Tennessee Titans also out. No one of note that you should be missing there. The Los Angeles Chargers. Wow, this is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like for the second straight week, Gotham City Rogues are going to be without Melvin
Melvin
Ingram.
Gordon.
Melvin Gordon.
Yeah,
I'm so
Melvin
sorry.
Gordon. Yeah.
Melvin Gordon. You're right. Melvin Gordon, and also he's well, not him, but someone out there is going to be missing Phillip Rivers, who has quietly had a solid fantasy and also professional year. So that being said, those are your 4 teams on bye. It's the Falcon, the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Chargers.
That's right. So that means that there's a lot of quarterbacks on bye, man. We got Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Zeke, not Zeke Elliott. I'm sorry, Dak Prescott is still a fantasy-owned quarterback. So we will have some
Why?
quarterback. Well, because he gives you fantasy points. I mean, the other day he rushed for like 87 yards and a touchdown, although his quarterback numbers are bad. But
Luke.
yeah, the point is that you're going to have a lot of quarterbacks out this week. So I would obviously look into Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield has had some growing pains, but Pittsburgh has had a relatively shady secondary all season. So we got to see what Baker Mayfield does. I think he can give you a solid 18 to 23 points. So I think Baker
Wow.
Mayfield, yeah, man, I think he's been stepping it up. He's had his growing pains, like I said, but I think he can have a decent afternoon. Same way, although he's not available in our league, I would say Mitch Trubisky, man. Mitch Trubisky is a guy that I've picked up in a couple of leagues. He's been killing it the last few weeks, man. He's pretty hot right now. And I believe he has a very decent matchup. Who do the Bears play again, Jay? Oh, the Jets. Yes, the Jets. They play the Jets. That's a great matchup if you ask me. I mean, the Jets weren't able to continue in the Cleveland Browns. So they have their holes in their defense. That being said, man, we can move on to running backs. Kenyon Barner. That's a running back to look at. He's also one of the most added running backs in Yahoo right now.
What team does he play for?
For the New England Patriots, Sonny Michel, however you say it. He's out this week with a knee injury, no structural damage in the MRI, but he's going to be out at least this week. So that leaves only James White and Barner to share the backfield for the Patriots. Another guy that I look into is for the running back position. I forgot who I was going to say. Oh, yes. It's for the Raiders. That's what I was thinking about. The Raiders, man. Marshawn Lynch is out. Amari Cooper is out. They should be running him more. I know a lot of people probably think it's Doug Martin. I would go for Jalen, what's his name?
Richard.
Jalen Richard of the Oakland Raiders. I think he's way more dynamic than Doug Martin. I think he's going to give you better plays. So those are some guys that I look into for this week.
Do you have any clue how old Doug Martin is?
Martavis Bryant. Martavis Bryant, if you need a wide receiver, going on the Raiders as well. Since they did trade Amari Cooper, Martavis Bryant and Jordy Nelson promised to be the number one receivers. I do not like that offense at all, but at least he'll get opportunities.
Okay. Any tight ends worth mentioning?
Wow, tight ends is a tough one, man. I mean, our league it's completely drained on tight ends. So, man, I don't honestly have any tight ends to be picked up this week or anything that's actually worth it. Anything else?
I don't think that any of the teams that are going to be on bye are teams that you have tight ends that you constantly depend on. So it kind of is what it is. Rock with the tight ends you got. Anything else on waivers, Paki?
No, man, that's it for me.
All right. This promises to be a pretty quick show. We're just kind of breezing by some of these topics.
Really?
Not that it's not warranted, but I wanted to. This is when I was going to talk about bye weeks, but we already covered that, so we might as well just move into matchups.
All right, let's go, man. Let's do it.
It's the thing I wanted, Dago, to just put matchups. Like put match in this hand and up in this.
Oh, man.
Stop coughing into the damn microphone.
I'm sorry. I'm sick, bro. Jeez.
All right, the first matchup we're going to cover this week is the 4-3, 7th place, straight out of Goffton, playing against another 4-3, currently 9th place. Recycle these. 2 streaks are on the line, so straight out of Goffton has lost 2 in a row, while Recycle these has won 2 in a row. Can Recycle these win 3 in a row, Paki? What do you think?
It should be Recycle D's, bro. You got to write it right. D's, D-E-E-Z. First thing we got to talk about this team is obviously the wide receiver core. The wide receiver core is solid. DeAndre Hopkins, we already know that you love him. He had a crazy 100 catch last week, by the way. He's going to go up against Miami in a dome. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Houston Texans got 4 wins in a row, and Deshaun Watson is starting to pick it up. I don't know if you've noticed. He started kind of rusty. So I really like.
He's picking it up, but in all honesty, it looks like he's been kind of saved the last few games. DeAndre Hopkins
saved by
Dallas.
what?
Well,
the running game has been garbage.
What are you talking?
Him and DeAndre Hopkins.
Hold on,
Lamar. Yeah, running game has been garbage.
What it is like a new hero seems to emerge every week. Lamar Miller showed up last week, and the week before that, he was totally bailed out by DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know.
Bailed out. Well, you bailed out, but he's the one throwing the ball. So, I mean, you got to give him some credit. At the end of the day, fantasy-wise, it's worse for both of them. And at the end of the day, they got 4 wins in a row.
Fantasy, I agree with you. They do have 4 wins in a row. But, yeah, even then, I still don't think that he is what I was totally amazed by watching him play against Russell Wilson. That game against Seattle, man, that was – if he – I mean, I thought I was ready to put him in the Hall of Fame is what I'm trying to say, and I haven't seen that yet.
Right. Well, he's shown improvements, and he's looking more to DeAndre Hopkins than ever recently. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has had double-digit points every single week, so DeAndre Hopkins is a definite shoo-in. And we already know A.J. Green going up against Tampa Bay. This is a huge matchup. against Tampa Bay at home. We already know Tampa Bay is hot garbage as a defense. So expect AJ Green to have a big day. I also love David Njoku. He has been killing it recently with Baker Mayfield. That showed up in the preseason. It's showing now. I think that's a legit relationship that they got there. So I love David Njoku as well, man. So we're seeing some great players. If T.Y. Hilton comes back for Indy and he does play, I also like Corey Clement, but I'm not going to get into details with all that. He already has Jalen Richard, which we talk about. But just to talk about T.Y. Hilton real quick for the Colts, the Oakland Raiders are horrible, and they're just getting worse every week. T.Y. Hilton's another one. So this guy's getting massive points from 3 wide receivers. I really love it, man.
Cool. All that being said, I think Straight Outta Compton is going to win this week. He's going to break his streak. You mentioned who you would put in Recycle D's starting lineup, but the fact of the matter is he is going to greatly miss Phillip Rivers in that role. All right, so for Straight Outta Compton, we got the Rams. So there's Jared Goff, Robert Woods, and Brandon Cooks. If you got them, you start all of these guys. Christian McCaffrey, he's played better than I ever anticipated. He has been deceptively good.
He has been going up against probably the best defense, though, right now.
They are the best defense, but are they the best run defense necessarily? I don't know. I mean, they get after the quarterback. They defend the pass well, but you should still be able to run on Baltimore. But even then, even if Christian McCaffrey doesn't meet his expected 15 points, which you probably won't, I think he still gets you double digits, and that should be good enough. Philip Lindsay, this guy has been a surprise, and this guy is an example to me from here or from henceforward why I will never again buy into the advice of one Matthew Berry. He told me to go with the other kid, with Booker. Is that
Matthew
his name?
Berry
Booker?
is garbage.
Man,
yeah,
he got it.
Freeman is the other.
I'm sorry, Royce Freeman. You're right. Royce Freeman, I drafted him. This kid was an absolute bust, and Lindsay took his job from week 1. He has totally emasculated Freeman, and it's been the Philip Lindsay show. This week, you go with Philip Lindsay against Kansas City, who's looked a little better in terms of defense, but again, another opportunity for you to get your running yards. I can easily see Philip Lindsay getting anywhere between 60 to 80 yards, a couple of catches, and a touchdown. Rob Gronkowski is Gronkowski, Galladay, Beast. I heard someone call him Minitron the other day. That's a pretty cool name. And he gets Greg Zuerlein back against Green Bay. So if his attack wasn't already as refined, I mean, top to bottom here, this team is solid. You know what? I'm picking Straight Outta Compton to win, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the most points this week.
Yeah, man, I'm picking Straight Outta Compton too at the end of the day because we already talked about that. It's the Rams. You got the Rams team, and I really do believe that game, Green Bay versus Los Angeles, in Los Angeles, is going to be a total shootout. So that's going to be massive fantasy points for both sides, Green Bay and the Rams. So yeah, man, I'm taking Straight Outta Compton as well.
All right, the next matchup we're going to talk about is the motherfucking friend zone at 4-3, currently 8th place, loser of the last game. They're going to be playing against the 4-3 as well. 5th place, Gin and Druce. Gin and Druce at one point was the best team in the league. They dropped 2 in a row. Right now, they're at 4-3. So tell me about Gin and Druce. Did they get a chance to come back and get back on their winning ways?
My man, Donnie. I mean, the thing is, he has Todd Gurley, man. As long as he has Todd Gurley, he should be one of the best teams in the league. I mean, Todd Gurley is killing it. The last running back that I saw play like this and score this much was LaDainian Tomlinson, man. This guy's insane. This guy scored more touchdowns than a lot of teams, the Raiders being one of them. So, obviously, that is a huge
I heard that
reason.
he as a player has more points than the entire Buffalo team combined.
I don't doubt it one bit, man. And add to that, he has Adam Thielen, who has been the number 1 wide receiver, not just in fantasy, but in football. So he has the number 1 running back and the number 1 wide receiver. That's money combination right there, if you ask me, man. That's just a sign of a lot of good things.
I kind of like that with Adam Thielen. I saw that game, Vikings against the Jets.
Hmm.
I don't think that Kirk Cousins did a lot of things right. I think he mainly did a bunch of things wrong. But the one thing that I like that he did was he was looking to get Adam Thielen his 100 yards by hook or by crook. Adam Thielen currently riding a streak of 7 games in a row over 100 yards catching.
Yeah, man, they might ride this all season long, and it's good that you point that out because they are looking for him. So I can see them riding this. And add to that, Mark Ingram as well. I think he's a solid. We already spoke about him last week. He is solid. You didn't see him get that many fantasy points last week, but he is getting the touches, which is the important part. And he was against Baltimore. That is a very tough defense. I already mentioned that. So now versus Minnesota, they have shown to be vulnerable up the middle. I really like Mark Ingram, man. This is shaping up to be a great week for Jin and Drews. And surprisingly, he's starting Jameis Winston over against Cincinnati instead of Drew Brees versus Minnesota. Drew Brees versus Minnesota in the Dome in Minnesota really intrigues me because that's Drew Brees' types of environment. So if it was me personally, I'd go with Drew Brees to start the week. But at the end of the day, I still think this team is very solid across the starting roster. They just got to get a tight end in there. This Ed Dixon guy from Seattle, I remember he used to be with Baltimore. He doesn't promise absolutely anything, and I think he's actually going to be out. So he needs to pick up a tight end. God knows what he's going to pick up there. But besides that, this team is pretty good.
I think that even without the tight end, currently he's projecting more points than at motherfucking friend zone. All right, so friend zone is going to be without two of his main contributors. Zeke Elliott and Matt Ryan are out. That's a big ouch for motherfucking friend zone. Friend zone is going to start Joe Flacco against Carolina. Potential for some points. Joe Flacco, again, kind of like Phillip Rivers, is having a quiet but solid season. I guess all the talk about possibly having him move on to greener pastures caught up to him. Joe Flacco is not taking that lying down. Stephon Diggs is a concern for me. With Adam Thielen having the best year of his career potentially, Adam Thielen is suffering. I mean, it's a different quarterback. You figured that the talent was there. They gave Diggs the money. They like him. Obviously, Minnesota as a team likes him, but he doesn't have the connection with Kirk Cousins that Adam Thielen has. So watch him. I don't think he gets anywhere near those 14.10 fantasy points. Maybe there's a slight off chance that he doesn't get the best corner to cover him, and there's a lot thrown his way. But I wouldn't bet on that. Alshon Jeffrey against Jacksonville. Wow.
He's
I
going
was
to get
just
Jalen
about
Ramsey.
to. Yeah, I was just about to say that Alshon Jeffrey was working his way into consideration as one of the top 10 game by game wide receivers. I know that he missed some. Like, I'm not talking about his total consolidated points, but per game, he was in the conversation for possibly top 10 receivers. He's been showing out since he's been back. Yeah, but like you said, man, Jalen Ramsey. Even though, man, some of the news that came out from Jacksonville this weekend, they were looking like a hot, steaming pile of garbage over there. But Jalen Ramsey, he talks a lot. This might be the game where he comes back with something to prove.
Well, the defense, Jacksonville has given up a lot of points, but Jalen Ramsey has been playing great. And I think Alshon Jeffrey could struggle with Jalen Ramsey because Jalen Ramsey can jam him up at the line. So that's how I'm seeing it.
Both of these teams have a lot to prove. This is a game that could make or break their season. So interesting. That's something that you got to watch there, definitely. I have Latavius Murray and Alex Collins. All right, so two guys that are making the most out of the opportunity. Latavius Murray currently projecting 7.93 fantasy points. That's considering that Dalvin Cook may play, but you never know. If he doesn't play, I saw him make plays out of nothing, essentially, against the Jets. And I think that possibly the Jets may have a better front seven than New Orleans. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paki.
Yeah, I think so too.
Alex Collins, he's been splitting time with Buck Allen, but it looks like for the last couple of weeks he's been toppling in terms of possessions and production. If you had both, you being any other fantasy owner, I would say go with Collins. It looks like he's trying to shore up that job. Against Carolina, though, I don't think that he necessarily puts up the best of games. He's going to have to deal with the front four and Luke Kuechly as in the middle linebacker position. So not expecting great things. And there's always the possibility that he might get vultured for the touchdown. So I'm not really buying it. The rest of the team is okay. If you had matched up against any other team, I'd probably be picking friend zone. But this week, I just think that the matchups, the firepower for Gin and Juice is going to be too much. So Gin and Juice is my pick for this week.
Yeah, man, I went with Gin and Juice too. After everything that I told you about, Gin and Juice is my final pick as well.
Okay, in a matchup of bottom feeders. So, bless them. Congratulations, son. You got your first win. All right, currently at 1-6,
And I
and
wonder who he beat. I wonder who he beat.
he beat me. And
Oh,
yeah, I am. I describe myself this way. So remember when we were watching that show, Blue Mountain State, where they
yeah,
had that woman that would come and provide these
yeah,
favors.
yeah. The old woman, yeah,
Right, she'll provide the favors to some of these students who were
to give him good
underprivileged
luck.
in the
Yeah.
sex department. Well, I'm kind of that player. So I faced Guica's team when he was O-N, and he got his only win against me. And then I faced Blessum when he was O-N, and he got his first win against me. Not to mention, I basically handed him a loaded gun and told him to shoot me. I gave him the weapons that essentially beat me, Jordan Howard and Tyreek Hill. But what are we gonna do, man? You can't
I
lose them
think.
all. I can't win them all.
Well, I think you're a massive ass because you ruined what could have been the potential toilet bowl between Blessem and Big Blue Legendaros. Two teams without a
Yeah.
win. That would have been fucking perfect, but you ruined that with your
Dude,
suckiness.
I don't
And
know
it has
what
the
to tell
perfect
you.
name, the toilet bowl. We would have called it the toilet bowl. I had it all planned. Fucking ruined
The toilet bowl. Oh well.
it.
Well, yeah. What are we gonna do? 1-6. Bless him. 12th place overall. Going up against 0-7. Currently sitting by himself. 14th place. The Big Blue Legendaros, losers of 7 in a row. Tell me about the Big Blue Legendaros. Do they win the toilet bowl?
Dude, I mean, first of all, nah, man, I don't think they're gonna win. Let me just take that out of the way right now. I don't think the Big Blue Legendaries is gonna win any bowl at all, because their team sucks. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about some players in this team, Kirk Cousins has been kind of intriguing. I mean, he has been underperforming fantasy wise, for about 3 weeks now. So I'm expecting a bounce back. I don't understand. I haven't been saying many of the Vikings games, so I don't understand exactly why he's been sucking it up so much. But Jesus,
Can I
man,
tell you something? With no Giants game occurring on Sunday, I actually watched a lot of this Jets New Orleans game. Shame on me. Sorry, Jets Vikings game. Shame on me though. I should have been watching that New England game. That went down to the wire, and that was also happening at the same time. But whatever. This is the game that I landed on. He was throwing a lot of balls into the dirt. I don't understand why the hell he was throwing so low. I do believe also that Adam Thielen could have had a lot more yards after catch. He wasn't getting those because he was having to dive to basically catch everything. He was either diving or sliding to catch most of Kirk Cousins' pass. I am
right.
aware that in New Jersey it was extremely windy over the weekend, and I don't know if this is a trend for Kirk Cousins. I also don't watch a lot of Kirk Cousins games, but he was not looking impressive at all. He was throwing way too many balls towards the ground. Um, I didn't like it. I didn't buy it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm expecting a bounce back because I really don't think he's a bad quarterback. This game at home versus New Orleans might be that opportunity. Honestly, I'm not saying it will, but it has a high probability of being so. So, I like Kirk Cousins in a way. Odell Beckham again. I think Odell Beckham goes hand in hand with Eli Manning's success. Eli Manning just can't get him the ball no matter what. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, the offensive line or whatever." At the end of the day, fantasy-wise, Odell Beckham is the one that's getting affected, and it's not because he sucks. It's because, unfortunately, his situation sucks. So I don't like Odell Beckham. I mean, he could blow up some weeks like he did on Monday Night Football. He had some good points, but it's just I don't have any guarantee that it will happen again. So
The
it's
point the point of Odell Beckham is if you have Odell Beckham, you have to start him. I mean,
you have to, yeah.
he's your first pick overall, regardless of what league you're playing in. If you were the position, whichever position that was, anywhere between the 7th or 9th pick, and you went up to draft and he was there, you took him. So you took him in the first round, you have to start him. I'm looking at this particular team, and there's no one who is even close to being better than Odell Beckham, or even if you think they're in a better situation, that you would start over him. So you start
No,
him then. You have
no.
no
I'm not
choice.
questioning that. You have to start him, and that's why I'm criticizing the Odell Beckham situation itself because it's not a player that you can bench. It's a player that you kind of have to ride, and he's just been so up and down recently because of Eli Manning. So he can give you a good week. He can give you a bad week. At the end of the day, with the rest of the talent on this team, uh, uh, Demarius Thomas has become a number 2 receiver to Emmanuel Sanders. Royce Freeman has become a number 2 running back um, to Philip Lindsay in a relatively mediocre offense anyway. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if Odell Beckham blows out or doesn't. I don't think this team can win.
I like the word relatively mediocre.
Yeah, I mean they're not bad, but they're not
It's
great
like
either.
middle
You
of the
know,
pack to the
they're
middle of the pack.
they're literally like super middle class. Like you know what I mean? Like they're right in the middle. They're not bad. They're not great.
Their offense sucks. Didn't they fire their offensive coordinator?
I'm not sure. I think they did, but it doesn't matter. They're like right in the middle of the pack. They're not bad,
The
bad. You know,
offense
they
sucks.
score some points.
The offense sucks, and Case Keenum was not the answer. That was a really dumb signing. I mean, God bless Case Keenum. You know, nice, upstanding Christian man, deserves all the blessings he gets. But man, you really milked that situation.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, man, this team is garbage, man. I mean, it's full of backups. You got Odell Beckham, Kirk Cousins, and then all the other ones are like seconds in their teams. So I don't like this
Yeah.
team at all, bro. Like, I'm sorry, Daryl. I really think you won't win a single game all year.
Ooh.
And
Um,
nothing against you, bro. It's just one of those years, man. I'm sorry,
you
bro.
never know. He might be playing me week 9. I'm gonna have a lot of starters out. I'm the
That might
one.
be your chance.
I'm the one
That
you
might be
go to
your chance.
beat. You know,
That might be it.
I'm the one you go to beat when you're ON. So whatevs. All right. So bless them. Bless them. All of a sudden is a stacked team. Do they have enough time to win enough games to get into the playoffs? That's yet to be determined. However, you got Ben Roethlisberger coming up after bye, playing at home against Cleveland. This is a matchup I take 10 out of 10 times. Jarvis Landry, man, this dude totally. I mean, where did this fourth quarter come from? I thought I had this matchup well in the bag, but Jarvis Landry put 20 on me, and he's projecting 13 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to tell him he can't do it.
Hmm.
Tyreek Hill against Denver, the game right before the bye, expecting to blow up. Now he has both of the Chicago running backs. And by the way, there was a point this year where I was thinking, is Russell Wilson dropped so low where he's worth a backup running back for Chicago? At least in terms of fantasy, Tyree Cohen seems like he's overtaken absolutely Jordan Howard. Um, Jordan Howard ran in for a touchdown, but that's basically all he did. Not much yards. He's not catching any of the balls. Everything that's any kind of weird gadget play is all going to Cohen. And Trubisky is in love with the pass. After that 6 touchdown game, that's all he wants to do is just pass the ball. Jordan Reed. The best thing I can say about Jordan Reed is he's playing on the number 1 team in the NFC East, and he hasn't got injured yet. But he's not putting up spectacular numbers. Sammy Watkins, every week Sammy Watkins come up here with like double-digit fantasy points projected. That may have to do a lot with the fact that he's playing on a team with Pat Mahomes. But I want to see. I think that he's failed to meet that double-digit projection. It's been 7 weeks, probably 6 out of 7 times. But with his, I want to say with his first 4 players, he should have more than enough firepower to overtake the Big Blue Legendaros. So they shall remain 0-8. I'm going to go with bless them. And look out now, we got a little streak going. He wins 2 in a row.
Yeah, and regarding Jordan Reed, man, that you're saying that at least he hasn't gotten hurt. Remember, silver is worth money in the land of poor, man. So right now there's not that many tight ends in fantasy. So Jordan Reed is pretty much one of the best you can get, probably top 10, even though his fantasy points are not that great.
At 3-4, currently 11th place, and playing another 3-4 team, we have Luck Dynasty. Luck Dynasty was making it happen, but lost last week, dropping him to 11th overall, playing against 10th overall with a chance to surpass El Papa de Daphne, who won his last game last week, and he's currently at 3-4. Um, I can't talk about my team and be objective, so I'll let you talk about Luck
You
Dynasty.
fucking suck. You fucking suck, bro. How did you lose to Bless him? By the way, real quick regarding your fantasy team name, have you heard of the famous Twitter account for Andrew Luck, the Captain Andrew thing?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Dago mentioned it to me. He finds it hilarious. I don't find that shit funny at all.
I find it pretty funny. You
Okay.
fucking got to stick up your ass.
Um.
Yeah, man. First
Uh-huh.
of all, your running back situation is great, man. With Saquon Barkley and Joe Mixon, Joe Mixon being back, I love Joe Mixon. I love the matchup versus Tampa Bay. I love the usage that they're giving him. And I mean, I know he had an off week last week because he didn't score a touchdown, but this is definitely looking like a bounce back scenario. He's one of those running backs that can give you 15 to 20 points week to week. So I love him. Saquon Barkley, we already talked about him before, and I will talk about him again. He is literally the only worthy piece to own in the Giants offense. Real quick, I know Eli Manning is getting a lot of heat. I know the offensive line is getting a lot of heat. But Jesus Christ, man, Pat Sherman is just as bad or even worse with that horrible play call. He's not even creative one bit. It's a shame you watched the Giants on Monday night after watching Kansas City Sunday night, and you just see how dynamic they are. You see how creative they are. The Giants have similar pieces where you can be that creative, even if Eli doesn't have to sling it or get out of the pocket. But they don't do it. And then the play call is fucking shitty. It only affects Saquon Barkley. He still gets his, though, because I think he's just like a threat of every play. Any given play, he can just break it loose, man. So I definitely love Saquon Barkley in that team. At the end of the day, I mean, you go to the other team, I'm never going to root for Daffy. You know this. And I'm never going to put him in my pick. I will die with whoever goes against him. So I got you this week, man.
Hmm. We're gonna find out if you're the curse this week. All right. Okay. So this week I'm playing against a guy who all of you seem to think would have fit better on the Giants, Sam Darnold. Um, I'm not buying Sam Darnold. In terms of fantasy, he's okay, kind of middle of the pack. He's projecting 11 fantasy points. I would say anywhere between 12 and 13 is his tops. He's playing against Chicago. Chicago, um, they got worked last week. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it ended up being a close game, but they took so many points that I think they're coming back with something to prove. And they lost the week before to Miami, so it's time for them to bounce back, and the Jets are the perfect team to do it against a rookie quarterback. So don't expect great things out of Sam Darnold. I don't think he's going to be the one that puts you over my team this week. Josh Gordon against Buffalo. Here's an opportunity to get many points. I think he's fairly projected at 11 fantasy points against Buffalo. Buffalo's defense is definitely better than their offense. Um, they're kind of stacked there, but um, all things considered, they will tire at some point. Tom Brady spreads it around. I think he gets enough catches to get you in that 11-point threshold. Mike Evans, there's a certain level of man, I don't want to say tunnel vision, but he's definitely the preferred receiver for Jameis Winston. So his points are unequivocal. And then you have James Conner. James Conner shredded Cleveland last time they played. Now he gets to do it in front of his home fans. Travis Kelsey, um, you can never go wrong with Travis Kelsey. So I'm honestly thinking that with James Conner and Travis Kelsey, this is my main concern. These are the guys I have to beat. I don't have much concerns about anyone else. Um, Bye weeks are going to affect you because you've been relying on Austin Eckler. You don't have him this week. You also don't have, is it Tyreek Williams?
Tevin Coleman.
No, not Tevin. Well, Tevin Coleman. Who cares? Yeah, you basically
He
are.
doesn't have a running back. He doesn't. We'll find out if
Yeah,
he picked up something
outside
in the
outside of
waiver.
Connor, you don't have a running back.
He doesn't.
Waivers will process tomorrow, but I don't think there was much of an option there in terms of waivers. Your team pretty much is what it is. Yeah, you will have to at some point find a replacement. Maybe you drop Terrell Pryor. I don't know why the hell you have him there in the first place, but you drop him and you pick up anything you can plug and play in that gap. But you're still going to need someone at your flex. My team is stacked, getting some people back from bye. I'm going to take Luck Dynasty this week. I'm going to 4-4.
Yeah, man. Not to mention Sam Darnold. I love what he's doing as a rookie, unlike you. But Sam Darnold versus Khalil Mack. Oy, my money's on Khalil Mack.
All right. Before we talk about the next matchup, man, I just want to rant a little bit, and I know you guys don't tune in for this shit, but what the fuck is going on with my team, man? This is some fucking bullshit. How are all these guys that are projecting fucking 10 fantasy points only scored 2? I had 3 offensive players go into double digits. 3. That was Andrew Luck, Saquon Barkley. I think the fucking kicker. No, I filled in with Vinatieri. This was a fucking bullshit week. Oh no, Chris Hogan had 10. He barely made the threshold for double digits. And you know who was my best scorer after those 3 offensive players? Luke Kuechly, who had 15 points. You know, it'd be okay. I would be okay. I would have won last week if I would have got at least 5. I mean, make it halfway to double digits. But no, all these fucking guys underperformed to the max. 2 points from Corey Davis, 6 measly points from Joe Mixon. What the fuck was happening last week? That was fucking embarrassing. I deserve to lose that one. With that being said,
world's smallest violin for Jay.
Daphne Culo Ancho currently at 4-3.
At least you get Antonio Brown back this week, so stop being a little bitch.
Coming up against the 1-6, 13th overall, El Perro del Llano, who's lost 3 in a row after also beating me on a week which I flopped and he fucking overperformed like a motherfucker. All right. El Perro del Llano, does he have a chance against Daphne Culo Ancho this week?
Oh, that's the question? No.
All right, well, that's answered.
Yeah, that's huh? No, this team has no running backs, man. That's fucking sad. Giovanni Bernard is out. Andrew Jones for Green Bay sucks. Dalvin Cook is not getting many touches in Minnesota right now. They're babying him, and he doesn't seem 100% healthy. Alfred Morris is the third string running back. So, yeah, man, I don't see much here, man. You got Austin Hooper, your super duper tight end. He's on a bye week. You have nobody else. So we already know there's going to be 2 teams running to waiver wires for an extremely below mediocre garbage tight end. So chances are one of them probably will not get anything. So, yeah, man, this is looking pretty bad, man, for my man Guica. I'm sorry, bro. Again, nothing against you. I appreciate the effort you're putting in, but this team is garbage, man.
Did you check his bench? Aaron Jones, he was on the bench because he was on bye last week, so he should make it to the starting lineup. Worst case scenario. And
I did say that. I did mention him, and I did mention
sorry.
that he is. I did mention that he is garbage.
Oh, is he? Well, I just thought he wasn't being used properly. Anyway.
Yeah, he's not being used at all, and he's not that great.
Just to give this team a little more respect than what it deserves, but yeah, just for shits and giggles. You got Mitch Trubisky. You got Matthew Stafford. Who are you starting this week?
I love what Trubisky is doing, man, and I am a fan of riding the hot hand. And right now, Mitch Trubisky is extremely hot. So, not anything against Stafford per se. It's just Trubisky's like 3 weeks straight, I think. Let me check. With over 30 fantasy points. So, I respect that, man. I keep the streak going.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you're going to start my man crush, Pat Mahomes here. I love the Pat Mahomes voice.
What the fuck happened to you?
I was speaking like Wika in Pat Mahomes' voice. All right. So Pat Mahomes against Denver. He's projecting 23.91 fantasy points. I think that projection is too low. He's going to score 35 fantasy points. I think that Pat Mahomes combined with Emmanuel Sanders is going to be enough to beat Wika this week.
Probably.
That's what I'm saying. You should go on a limb right now and just sit the rest of your players. That's all you're going to need. Just Pat Mahomes and Emmanuel Sanders is enough to beat Wika. Wika sucks. He beat me, but he sucks. All right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got Devin Funchess in my bench because I don't think I'm going to be able to start him, man. That tells you everything.
If you have Pat Mahomes, you start him. Emmanuel Sanders, the number 1 receiver in Denver against a defense that allows a lot of points to wide receivers in Kansas City. If you have Emmanuel Sanders, start him too. Allen Robinson II is emerging as the best option in Chicago for PPR. I don't know if he's getting all of the touchdowns. When it comes to touchdowns, it looks like Trubisky is sharing the ball. But here's the interesting point. If Wika does start Trubisky and he passes to Allen Robinson, then he's kind of shooting himself in the foot. So you have that. David Johnson is going to benefit from having a different offensive coordinator. Arizona fired their offensive coordinator. brought in Brian Leftwich. He's going to be a rookie to the position, but if you want to consider it that he came from the Bruce Arians coaching tree, so Bruce Arians, well, David Johnson flourished under Bruce Arians, so hopefully he'll get
Yeah.
something close to that with just a change of scenery, if nothing else. Um,
I always like new coordinators. They bring new stuff. I like them.
but do you have enough? Well, they bring new stuff, and I think the last time they played was last Thursday, so he's had about a weekend change to learn whatever new scheme is being brought up in the offense. So, yeah,
Well, I don't.
expect.
What? Just to let you know, and our listeners know, like when a coach gets promoted to a position, they don't really do many changes system wise. What changes drastically is first of all the game planning, and second of all the play calling. So, they can't change a system week to week, right? So they kind of keep the same things. They might tinker here and there, but where the big difference is and where the Arizona was lacking was in exactly that: the game planning and the play calling. So hopefully we'll see better of that.
Awesome. Chris Carson was on bye last week. Let's see what he has. I think before the bye, he was actually missed a few games due to injury. So maybe he's happy, healthy, and rested, and he comes back and becomes the one guy that we want to count on in Seattle. Eric Ebron every week seems to get in the end zone. Andrew Luck is falling in love with Eric Ebron. And Lamar Miller had a very decent week. Last week. He might come back to earth somewhat, but even if he
I
does,
know.
he'll still be better than anything that he's going to be playing against in terms of the team you're playing against in El Perro del Llano. So, yeah, definitely Culuancho wins this one.
Hell yeah.
The next teams we're going to be talking about the next matchup is Gain Pounds at Gordos, going back to the win column. Winners of one in a row. You can't even say that. Just winners of one of the last one. 5-2 and fourth place overall, facing another team that's currently 5-2, second overall, Juju Jones, winner of three in a row. Man, I just happen to think that Juju Jones gets like the best matchups at the most adequate times. I don't even think that team is that good. Am I wrong? What do you see in Juju Jones?
I mean, Cam Newton came through last week in the middle of a disaster game and brought him back not just the Panthers to win the game against the Eagles, but to win him his fantasy league, his fantasy week. Cam Newton's looking good, but now he got Baltimore. That is a tough matchup. So I'd be careful there with what Cam Newton would be able to give him. I do love the fact that he has Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack is looking to be the number one running back in Indianapolis, and he's playing a lot better than what he did last year, which was kind of like a busty type. This year he is looking good. He killed it last week versus Buffalo. The Raiders are probably the worst team in the NFL, so I love that matchup. I already mentioned about Green Bay and the Rams being a shootout. Devontae Adams, he's freaking awesome. Smith-Schuster always cooks Cleveland. He's at home. He's back from a bye. I love these players, man. Even though he has Julio Jones out, Mohamed Sanu out on bye week, he definitely has the players to fill them in. Carlos Hyde, hopefully he plays this week. He didn't play last week. He just got traded to Jacksonville. That is a decent scenario for him to flourish. Let's not forget about Leonard Fournette. So if you put all these guys in the starting roster,
The news I got from Leonard Fournette is that he's going to be out at least another 3 weeks. So
No, I mean like Leonard Fournette flourished in Jacksonville, even though Blake Bortles suck, and there's this whole dilemma right now with the quarterback situation. Carlos Hyde promises to do the same thing as long as he plays. So he should be playing this week. So yeah, man, I think he's gonna have a great week. So this is a great team from Juju Jones. I love what Gain Pounds at Gordos has as well, but 5-2 team versus 5-2 team. I think Juju Jones goes 6-2 after this one, man.
okay, well, interesting pick. I think the fact that Juju Jones leaves his entire team on the bench is why I can't ever figure this team as being a really good team. I see it more as an opportunistic team. That being said, Aaron Rodgers coming back off a bye. Hopefully, he's rested his legs some. He's playing against a really tough defense. He's projecting 20.95 fantasy points, and that's basically because he is the entire offense of Green Bay. But he's going to be facing some defensive tackles that are really going to put pressure on him. On
Oh
top of
yeah.
that, the I guess the D-backs are decent enough for the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, that's a good defense. They give up points, but he's going to have to do a lot of magic to beat the Los Angeles Rams. I don't like the matchup for Aaron Rodgers. If you drafted Aaron Rodgers, you probably don't have any player who's better. Um, Carson Wentz against Jacksonville in this case is not any better. So
Yeah.
you're
No,
going with
but
Aaron Rodgers.
I think that's gonna be a high scoring game anyway. I really do.
All right. Well, I think the Rams take this one, but
I
um,
never said that Green Bay is gonna win. I just said it's gonna be a high scoring game.
you're right. It's neither here nor there. John Brown has he is outperforming Michael Crabtree in fantasy, but that's about it. I don't think he's emerged yet. He's not the number one guy, but he's consistently getting into double digits. D.D. Westbrook, oof, I don't like this matchup at all. I don't like him against Philadelphia. I don't like the fact that there's so much quarterback controversy happening in Jacksonville. I don't like D.D. Westbrook. Alvin Kamara, he was, he basically put you in the situation that you're in, being at 5-2. But it's pretty clear to me that he is splitting touches with Ingram. So that's something to keep your eye on. Capri Bibbs, I don't know if this is final. If I would really trust him to go into my my starting lineup. Chris Thompson is still listed as questionable. If Thompson plays, of course you get in. But you did the smart thing here, Adelaide, by backing up Thompson with Capri Bibbs. If Thompson is out, then you have the obvious replacement, and that number should go up. But just keep your eye on it, and you play Thompson if that's the case. I don't like Jimmy Graham. I don't like Sterling Shepard against Washington. You need to find yourself a kicker, but whatever. Just pick up a kicker. That's not a hard thing to do. All that being said, this is not the week that I'm going to go with Gordos. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go with the team that I just think is opportunistic. Juju Jones, man, just always picking the bones. Paki, did I lose you?
I had this muted. I muted it for a cough, and I didn't unmute it. Sorry about that, fellas. Bwomp, womp, womp. Yeah, man. I was gonna tell you that I definitely think that Juju Jones is opportunistic, and I figured out why he leaves all his players on the bench. It's because he waits for our episode to go out, and all the players that we mentioned are the players that he starts, and that's why he's 5-2. You're welcome, Brito. But you can manage your own team, damn it. That's why he does it, bro. Yeah, that's what it is. I figured it out, man. But I appreciate it, man. I feel flattered that you like our help.
All right. So the matchup of the week, the 5-2, currently third place, two-time winner of the League of Haters, the Gotham City Rogues, is playing against the number 13th pick, currently 6-1, and first overall team, a team that more than doubled his last opponent's output, Hunt for the Wilder Cup. So if there is a matchup that you guys want to watch, this is the one. Hunt for the Wilder Cup, Gotham City Rogues. What you got, Paki?
Hunt for the Wilder Cup, my friend. By the way, Gotham City Rogues, I don't know why you're hyping him up that much. I mean, he did lose to me, I'm just saying. But, again, another team, Hunt for the Wilder Cup, that waits for this episode to actually put his real starters. We already know that he's going to start Kareem Hunt for sure. I don't think there's there's much I can say about Kareem Hunt except that anybody that's in Kansas City, anybody that's in the Rams, you must definitely start them in fantasy. Add into that Michael Thomas for New Orleans and a dome in Minnesota. I already spoke about Drew Brees. That has to do with Michael Thomas. He's going to start on that team. And James White is in an awesome opportunity. He killed it last week with Sony Mitchell out. James White has another chance to get 20-plus touches, probably 10-plus catches in this matchup. So we are a PPR league. We are a real legit fantasy league, unlike those garbage leagues that don't have PPR. So he definitely has a ton of value. And, of course, Julian Edelman, man, following that same process with Tom Brady against Buffalo. That should be a blowout. It should be a blowout. I don't see why not. So, man. And add to that, he also has Tom Brady, now that I mentioned the Patriots. So, this team is stacked head to toe. There's a reason they're 6-1. They're definitely not affected by the bye week. Not to mention they got Cooper Kupp and Leonard Fournette out on injury that would also be added to the talent on this team. So this team is pretty damn deep. No way I go against them this week, man.
Well, well, well. On paper, if you look at the owners, if you look at the records, if you look at their last performances, you would say, man, this was going to be tight. But the fact of the matter is that without Melvin Gordon, it leans heavily towards Hunt for the
Yeah.
Wilder Cup. But still some promising players to look out for in Gotham City Rogue. So there's a stack here of Andy Dalton and Tyler Boyd. If you had this stack last week, which he did, you would have lost to a team who won La Chepa last week in Daphne Culo Ancho. But it was just that. I mean, Andy Dalton was awful on Sunday Night Football. He never really got a connection with Tyler Boyd. So there's that. Then you're gonna have Mike Williams. You're gonna have well, you could start Marvin Jones. I don't know that I trust Robbie Anderson in this situation against Chicago. Chicago as a team defense was 10th overall last year, and that was before adding Marlon Mack. So they're only better after that. I don't like Robbie Anderson. Not pick up, but bring up anyone from your bench to start in his place. You have Matt Breida, and he has a good situation. He's playing against Arizona. The thing about Matt Breida is he
I
apparently
think he's hurt though.
he's not listed. Well, he's questionable, but even when he's not listed as hurt, he's still kind of hurt. Like he comes out multiple times in a game for a litany of injuries. I would not start Matt Breida. Maybe Doug was doing a little bit of trolling in the same way that Hunt for the Wilder Cup does it. But I wouldn't leave Matt Breida in your starting lineup, even though I understand the opportunity. Speaking of opportunity, with the move from Carlos Hyde, Nick Chubb came in and overtook that role. There was talk that maybe Duke Johnson would get some more work. It didn't seem that way. It's the Nick Chubb show in Cleveland against Pittsburgh. If you have him, you start him. I like Zach Ertz. No matter what the situation, if you have Zach Ertz, you start him. Marquise Goodwin should not be on your starting roster. Getting passes from Beat Hard, nope, don't buy it.
Beat hard. I love it.
Yeah, I never understood why they call him Bethard. Beat Hard is how I read it.
Oh my god, that kid must have been bullied so much. Beat
Yeah,
hard.
I bet you they beat him so hard. You have Isaiah Crowell. I would start him instead of Marquise Goodwin. If nothing else, you know that Isaiah Crowell is the workhorse over in on the Jets. It's not the best situation against Chicago, but that's still a better scenario, my opinion, than starting Marquise Goodwin. All things considered, Hunt for the Wilder Cup takes the matchup of the week, which is basically that in name alone, considering that bye weeks just devastated the Gotham City Rogues. Again, there was no Melvin Gordon,
No Calvin
no
Ridley.
Calvin Ridley, no Mike Williams. Yeah, this was going to be an uphill battle for you no matter what, sir. So roll with the punches. Maybe you get lucky, and like Paki said, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But I just don't think you have enough rabbit's feet to take this matchup. So that's it, man. That's our views on Week 8. Anything you want to talk about in the NBA? Things that you've liked, things that stood out? Anything you
I
want to
mean,
point out
it's
for Week
been a
1?
yeah, man. I mean, the only thing it's been a great season. I think it's been extremely more competitive than a lot of people have expected it to be. A lot of surprises with Denver beating the champions Golden State Warriors. The Lakers starting 0-3. Nobody expected that. Um, New Orleans looks really, really good as well. So I think it's going to be a great season. Boston Celtics, they're not looking as dominant as everybody expect them to look. Kawhi Leonard is back, and he looks better than ever. I think he might be the next great superstar at that position after LeBron James and Kevin Durant, the way that he's playing right now and the freedom that he looks like he has. So I'm really excited about the season. I rarely ever get excited for the beginning of a basketball season since the season is so long. But it looks like I'm going to be watching a lot of games this year. Not a lot of LeBron games, man, because those games are so freaking late, bro. I can't.
I think we found the cheat code though. The YouTube the wrap ups. Those are always
Yeah, I
good for
watched
me.
that, but it's not the same. It's not the same than actually watching the game, you know?
You're right. It's not the same. It's better.
Nah, you're crazy.
I
I like
I
what
love those wrap ups when
when it comes to LeBron, I pride myself in saying that I watched a lot of LeBron James regular season
listen
games,
when
like
they
a
cut
lot.
out the timeouts, when they cut out the free throws, and they just leave you the game. I, it's a lot more enjoyable. I don't know why you would think it's not better.
Well, those are highlights. It's not really a condensed game. It's the highlights.
Well, I watched the condensed version, the one with the shorter one where they just cut out the free throws and cut
The
out all the
ten
timeouts
minute
and just
the
play the game.
10 minute ones doesn't show you the misses or bad plays. It just shows you the made buckets. It just gives you every made
Right.
bucket in the game. Yeah. So
Yeah, well, those aren't
so
necessarily
you just
highlights.
see the
Well, all
good
the
stuff. You
scores.
don't see the mistakes, you know. So I mean, yeah, it has its
Who gives a
appeal.
shit?
Obviously, it's pretty decent. But I
Yeah.
like watching. I'm a basketball fan. I like watching the whole thing, man. What the fuck? To each his own, man. Get off my back. I'm a fucking panda, bro. Like I'll fucking get up in your ass right now. And like I like a fucking bamboo stick, motherfucker. What's up?
I figured that it was going to be tough for teams like the Lakers to get in the playoffs, considering that I think Denver is really going to bring it this year.
Hmm.
I've liked what I've seen so far from Orlando. Um, I don't know what's in the future for them if they're just taking advantage of the fact that it was a short preseason, and it doesn't really matter for them, I guess, as much that they're not so much of a new team. They brought back a lot of what the team used to be, so maybe they have certain continuity, but they've been in every game they've played. They've won a couple of games they had no business winning, and look out for Orlando, man. They might actually make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, man. It looks like my camera just died, which means we're just in time.
Wah wah wah. Well,
Since you're the only one on camera right now, you might as well send us home, Jay. What's up?
all right. Well, good luck to Paki and his guys playing football over the weekend. Halloween is next Wednesday, so there's probably still another show before that. But if you're going to any Halloween parties this weekend, enjoy. Be safe. Come home safe. Don't do too much. Enjoy the World Series if you're watching. Enjoy the unofficial commentators, and we'll be back next week for Week 9. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye. Peace out.
Peace. All right, we're recording. Uh, uh.